what's up, everybody? It's Greg J out here in Ghana, West Africa. We are now a little more than an hour's drive outside of Accra. We're near the community of Pram Pram in an area called Ninga. And we will find Brother Jerry Johnson's African Ancestry Wall. We discovered this place on YouTube, and it's a bed and breakfast here, but the claim to fame here is that these murals, these paintings along the wall that you see behind me are portraits of important African struggle icons from all over the Pan-African diaspora, or Ma'afa, as we have been instructed today. We had breakfast with the renowned African scholar, she's African American, but known for her Pan-African thought. Dr. or Mama Marimba Ani is here, and we had breakfast with her. What a treasure of information, thought, philosophies about African thought, and the connective tissue for those of us who are American descendants of slaves to the African struggle across the globe. But this African Ancestry Wall is renowned across the world. If you're ever in Ghana, make sure that this is part of your itinerary. You can come here, have dinner or lunch up there at the restaurant. And if you are so inclined, you can sleep overnight in the bed and breakfast. We're here for a couple of days. We just want to immerse ourselves in the experience. For my Long Beach family, Jerry Johnson, he's not from Long Beach, but he did spend a significant part of his life in North Long Beach, District 9. We talked about that when we let him know that we were from Long Beach. It was just like, oh my goodness, such a very, very cool reception from him. He's come and sat down with us a couple of times just to kind of talk about Long Beach and what's going on there. Very proud that there's a black man as the mayor, Mayor Rex Richardson. He's actually from your district there, Mr. Mayor, and so that's what that one was all about. He now lives here in Ghana. He's built this magnificent facility known as the African Ancestry Wall, and I'm just going to take this camera and walk down the wall in its entirety so that you can see just what this wall is all about. There's icons and of the struggles, the heroes of the struggle from across the world, and we're very, very excited. You're getting a great education. He reaches out to schools in the area, brings them here to walk the African Ancestry Wall, and as he's walking, he's teaching the children about their heritage, where they come from, and then now he's building a library which is on the grounds, and you'll see some video of that, but that's what he's doing here in Ghana, West Africa. He's a great guy, great location, steeped in culture. That's what we're doing here at the African Ancestry Wall, New Ninga, Ghana.
I'm Jerry Johnson. I came here from Long Beach, California, Los Angeles area. This is the African Ancestral Wall. I've been here in Ghana 18 years, and we're doing everything we can using African history, using it with the youth particularly, to create the Africans we need to solve the problems that we have. We're in Ghana, of course, in a place called Ningo, and we've actually had our African Ancestral Wall running for since 2017, although I've been here a lot longer.
What exactly is the African Ancestral Wall? What is that?
What it is, it's 92 large portraits of Africans in history, starting really from the beginning of the species all the way till current times. These are Africans from every point on the globe, and I basically created the African Ancestral Wall so I could bring the students in from around. I used to go around to the schools, but that got to be a bit cumbersome. So I made it easier since I had the space, by having this wall and having these 92 portraits, actually, large portraits drawn. So that way I could bring the students on field trips. So we've been doing that for a long time, and that's really successful. But the whole idea is to try to supplement what they're getting in school, because you'd be surprised how little African history Africans get in their curricula coming up. So you'll know a lot more, or be required to know a lot more about things that happen in other countries, primarily Europe, America, and other places, than actually what happens in Africa. So we're trying to be one of the sources for remedying that problem. So that's the real thrust of why we have the African Ancestral Wall. People come also as tourists, which wasn't, our initial focus, but, of course, we like anyone who wants to come by and get involved with what we're doing.
Sure. Now, how do you choose the images? What considerations do you do to place someone on the African Ancestral Wall?
Well, that's a good question, because a lot of people come and they're looking for people who aren't here, and of course they're finding a lot of people that they've never heard of. And that's because basically the way I chose it is I kind of mapped out a lot of characteristics that I wanted African children to consider emulating, whether it's leadership, courage, creativity, all of these kinds of things. And then I kind of went back and mapped historical figures to those characteristics. So you might see, let's say in courage, you may see someone like a Fannie Lou Hamer, or you may see someone like Zabeth, the young girl in Haiti, from Haiti, who resisted and continued running away. Different people. So you will know a lot more courageous people, additional courageous people who you wish, why don't you have this one or that one? But at least we tried to make sure we covered some of that characteristics, because we want the children to see courage, for example, demonstrated in different ways in different places, male and female, young and old. And so that's really kind of how I did it. I wanted children to start internalizing some of these good characteristics from the ancestors and our historical figures.
You mentioned that you bring, school children from the surrounding area. How do the Ghanaian students receive the information, and do you find that they're already somewhat exposed to it and this is just kind of a reinforcement, or are they discovering new figures of history?
Almost all discovery of new figures. I mean, like I was saying, there's very, very little of this taught and it's not just Ghana. I've seen curricula in other African schools too, so I don't want to, but I live here in Ghana. So yeah, most people they haven't heard of. Even something simple like apartheid. So for instance, when I get to Steve Biko and I'm beginning to talk about it, and I ask the children who has heard of apartheid. And these are children from 5 to 15. Very seldom does a hand go up. So you're in Africa, you're really not being told about apartheid. But you might know, Henry V's third wife's shoe size. And I'm exaggerating, but you have all of this gory detail. The London Fire of 1666, all of this stuff, you have to know it. But you don't know what apartheid is here on the continent, and you live with something as consequential as that whole anti-apartheid movement. So yeah, there's not very knowledgeable, which is why we're doing it. I mean, if I had been going to the schools and I was seeing all of this stuff was in the schools in a way that I thought was anywhere approaching comprehensive, then I wouldn't have had the need to do this. But it's not there, and we have to do what we can. Right now, we can't control that curriculum, but we can, offer alternative ways to get the information. And this is one attempt to do it. And so.
Well, in 2019, is the year of return, the clarion call for Africa calling their her children home, and lots of African Americans making the trek over here. Now you hear a lot about African Americans acquiring property, building homes. This area is a high concentration of African Americans, and your space here seems to be a magnet for a gathering place, a social space for those African American brothers and sisters. How did that come about, and why do you think the brothers and sisters from America gravitate towards the African Ancestry Wall?
Well, part of it is just location. We're going east of Accra, where a lot of people go west of Accra toward Cape Coast because they like to go to the dungeons, when they're doing their tourism. So that side always gets a lot of attention. This side, I was one of the first people out here, and it's beautiful out here, but it didn't get that kind of attention. So what happens is, when people started moving out here, we say, what is the sense in going into Accra or going into Tema, when we can just enjoy ourselves right here. We got the ocean, we've got everything we need. And so it's kind of just a convenience thing. A lot of people from Tema going all the way out here through New Ningo just don't feel like going a long distance. And I have a restaurant here, and I do have the Ancestral Wall, which, like I said, even though it wasn't the initial strategy, it does bring a lot of people from the diaspora. So, and you were here yesterday, so you saw people from everywhere, right? So Washington, D.C., and people coming here from Haiti, everywhere. But certainly yesterday, I think we saw people from Detroit, Philadelphia, D.C., South Carolina. There's a lot of people. That was Saturday. And so, since a lot of those people are coming through as visitors, even like you all, Long Beach, that gives the locals here somebody to come and talk to and go, hey, you're from where? So many connections have been made because the kind of people the initial type of people who travel to Africa tend to be more interested in African culture, more interested in African history. So they're more likely to run across one another in circles in the U.S. or know someone who knew someone. So that also makes it nice. But even people who haven't been that interested in African history in the past and just become curious about traveling to Africa, when they plug in, and it really, as you saw yesterday, it gets to be a real nice synergy among our people and among local people, and then people from other countries. A lot of people come here from the UK, Africans who have African and Caribbean backgrounds, and so it's just kind of become a mixing place, and so that was just, and I think the Ancestral Wall part of it, helped make that happen, and I just happened to have put a space up, and then of course the food is very good.
The food is very, very excellent. I want to kind of illuminate and lift up the Long Beach connection here.
Long Beach.
I'm really amazed that there are so many Pan-African connections through Long Beach. Dr. Marilana Koringa and Kwanzaa, Dr. Gloria Willingham and her Villager Project, Village Treasures Shop, Shades of Africa, Sister City Program, Dream Creator Studio. I mean, and
Long Beach Study Group.
Long Beach Study Group. Brother Femi and them. Yes, that's right. Let me just ask you. Now Jerry Johnson, all the way over here in Ghana. What is it about Long Beach that causes us to catapult to the motherland?
That's an interesting question. People, I don't know. I really think it's just that there were certain people that took initiatives early on, and it kind of got to be a place where instead of being all the way in LA to study or to have events or whatever, kind of doing it in Long Beach. And I think a lot of people, I don't want to overstate that, but I think people kind of got used to, just working through that kind of consciousness thing, like the bookstores down there. You mentioned Village Treasures and some of these things. And these people have been in the African-centered thinking community for a long time. both in LA and Long Beach. And so these are the kind of people, whether they come or not, they tend to spawn people with interest, and sometimes they don't always know what they're setting off, when they started. So I don't know. I can't put my finger on it, but I was thrilled when I heard you all were coming in from Long Beach. I was like, uh-oh.
All right.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Brother Jerry. I was getting ready to close this out, but I forgot. Let's talk about the library that's being constructed back there in the back. I see the workers are hard at work, busy bees. It's a fantastic facility. I know there's a GoFundMe page for it, and you've been able to, raise some a great amount of funds for completion of the library. What's the vision of the library, and why a library at African Ancestral Wall?
Well, the library, of course, is to make available the information, for the children, or for the community, for the people in general. A lot of that will be digitized, of course. It's a little bit difficult out here to check books out, because a lot of people don't have addresses you can readily retrieve them from. But we're also, that's the first floor is the library. The second floor is what we're calling the multi-purpose area, and that's really where we'll be bringing the students, bringing the community. Some of you from LA remember we used to have Talking Drum, and we'll have something similar to that going on Saturday evenings, Saturday afternoons and evenings, and the Saturday mornings when we bring the children in to give them more detail on the things that they've learned on the wall. So let's just mention Fannie Lou Hamer again. She's someone on the wall I might dedicate a couple of minutes to on the wall, because there's so many people. But then that Saturday morning we may take her and dedicate the whole morning from 9 to 12 with the students, going into what was going on in that movement, what was happening with SNCC, who she was, how she was connected to Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael, what sharecropping is all about, and how she was, just put a context around this kind of history and other kind of history. So we'll have videos, of course, and documentaries. We'll have all kinds of discussions, and
yeah,
of course, it's still a construction site. Whoa. I'll be careful with these words. Still a construction site down here, but you see all these boards piled up and water and junk around, but we're getting there. In fact, we're really, as I'll show you as we go inside, are down to some plastering, but most of that's done. We run all of the electricals through the floors and walls, and plastered all of that up. All of the plumbing is done, with the exception of just some last pipes that have to go down to this big septic area tank here. This floor is where the library is, the library floor. You can see it basically has two sides to it. This side will be where most of the books and the bookcases and tables. And the other side will also have bookcases, tables with the computers and the printers and everything will be over there. It's got two bathrooms, one in this corner, one in that corner. And as I was saying, you can see all of the electrical stuff that's done. Most of the plastering, although we still have to plaster the beams, we'll be painting the top with this thick insulated paint. Come over here. The area over there where we have more airflow is where we'll have our printers and computer bank in this thing over here. And more tables, chairs. And as I was saying, this is going to be more of a digitized, to the extent possible, we're going to digitize what we can, because we really like for the students to be able to take files away and study them at their own pace. And to the extent they can, start printing and creating their own books. here's the second level where we're calling our multi-purpose room. What you see in here, the guys are working, so they build their own bunks. So, you can see from over here, the view of the ancestral wall over here, at least the back part at last. And when I first came here, all of this you see out here, there was not a single dwelling, a single brick, a single board anywhere out there. It was all, and I can show you from the very top if you'd like to see. So.
Yes. Reporting live from the African Ancestry Wall, which was founded and created by Brother Jerry Johnson. He's a Long Beach product from the Long Beach Study Group back in the day, which still exists today. Shout out to Femi and Max and everybody that's part of the Long Beach Study Group. One of your alumni and associates has expatriated to Ghana, West Africa, and created a haven of consciousness right here at the African Ancestry Wall.